This video is powered by Notre Dame Club of East Africa, a conversation with Notre Dame alumni and friends. Listen, connect, and challenge.
So thank you so much again for the opportunity to connect here as a family. So my name is Shaban, Varajab, and I was born in Kakamega, Western Kenya. I come from a family of 4, and I happen to be the youngest. I have one sister who's the eldest, and then 2 brothers who are currently in Tanzania. Primary school education and high school, I went in Kakamega, and then from 2006 to 2010, I joined Moi, where I pursued my bachelor's in education, math and economics. That was a great experience, just exposing me to campus life and trying to figure out where I was, heading to. I wasn't sure. But of course, when you get on campus, you're like, there are so many opportunities there. And some of the things that I did include joining clubs like the Kenya Models of United Nations. I was part of the Peace Unit program. And then when we had conferences, I was actively involved on campus. In 2010, I met a wonderful lady in Eldoret. Her name was Celine Korir. By then, she was the grant manager for DAI in partnership with USAID. And that led to my first job working with youth and women in Rift Valley region. So I joined her organization called Rural Women Peace Link, whose mission is to promote women and youth participation in peace building, community governance, and of course, create livelihood opportunities for them. So we worked on different initiatives, including Yes Youth Can, whose goal was to, empower youth to participate in national reforms and create livelihood opportunities for them. I was the youth development coordinator in West Pokot and Trans Nzoia. And during our time, we managed to form over 5,000 youth groups. We mobilized 900,000 youth, and we prepared these youth to confront the challenges they face. And I have to say that the reason behind this program was because of the effects of 2007, 2008 election violence. So that work went on until 2012. We got a new grant from International Rescue Committee, and we focused on, women, preparing them for 2013 elections. And that was also another wonderful opportunity, trying to introduce women to early warning and early response mechanism prior to the elections. And then around 2013 June, I had an opportunity to meet someone who introduced me to the Mennonite Central Committee, and they gave me a full scholarship to go to South Africa, where I did my certificate in peace building and conflict transformation. And when I came back, I heard about the Notre Dame program. And then I submitted my application to the Kroc Institute for International Peace Studies. And lucky enough, around February, March, I got this wonderful news that I was accepted into the program. So in August, I left the country and came here, joined the program. And then in June 2015, I left and went to Mindanao, where I worked with Catholic Relief Services as an assistant monitoring and evaluation officer. Of course, this is the internship part of the master's program. So I was there for 6 months. I came back, completed my master's program, and then lucky enough, I had good connections with the South Bend Rotary Club, which opened doors, and I got into a new fellowship with an innovation consulting firm called Enfocus. I worked with them for 1 year, and some of the initiatives I invested my time on included supporting the Community Foundation of Elkhart County to set up what we call a community indicator dashboard that informs the priority areas that they wanted to fund, but also track the impact of the work that they support in the community and strategies to empower the nonprofits that they fund. And then I also had an initiative with the Southern School Corporation where I did a tech inventory to understand how many machines they had, but also figure out ways to start an online learning and teaching program, which was a big success, very helpful during the winter, but also when we had COVID. I think that project helped a lot to ensure that kids and teachers were able to, continue their program irrespective of the limitation that existed with COVID. Now, I have to say that connection with Enfocus led to many other opportunities. I had a chance to work with the South Bend Mayor's Office, where I supported the Youth Task Force. I also helped to map around resources for the homeless population. I got connected to the Boys and Girls Club, where I started my own initiative first to evaluate the differences between the youth programs in Africa and of course here. And as a result, I started an online exchange program with the youth at the Boys and Girls Club. Eventually, I went back to school and studied another master's in public administration at IUSB. And down the line, because of the connections I had at the South Bend Community School Corporation, I managed to join again as an intern with the finance department, trying to support their finance systems, automating the way they tracked their staff, the way they track their, revenue flow and expenditure, and generally empowering the team to be more efficient and effective the way they handle records in that department. We had submitted a federal grant earlier in 2020, and then in 2021, October, we got this confirmation that we were among the few Gear Up grantees in the country. And for your information, Gear Up stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Program. In other words, the program is focused on preparing middle school students for high school and college success. There's a lot of mentorship that comes with it, academic support, a lot of information around preparing for college, but also exposing young people to information around other careers like welding, plumbing. You have many pathways that the program is trying to expose these kids to. And then there's also financial readiness information, where we inform the youth and the parents about different funding options for their education. And this could be scholarships, grants. You have businesses that have the money to support families that are struggling, but we also inform them, ways to save for their education in future. And then the last component of the program includes social-emotional learning, where we are supporting these kids to understand that irrespective of the challenges they face in their families, however traumatic it is, there are resources in the community that can help them overcome that. We are connecting them with peer mentors and wonderful, successful professionals in the community. We give them trips to the field where they meet these professionals and just get encouraged and believe that they can make it irrespective of where they come from. And I have to say that for Gear Up, we are focusing more on the Southern community. It's a program that is implemented across the country. And so far, we are in the second year of the program. I was so surprised. Of course, many of you heard that I was selected as the National Professional of the Year. And that caught me by surprise because the program is normally 7 years long. And most of the professionals who've been selected in the past have at least 5 years experience in the program. But for me, I think this caught me by surprise. And when I tried to investigate what led into that, I think it's because of the contribution that I made, not only in the finance department, but also coming into the program as the data and accounting manager helped a lot to streamline the grant management process, the way the data is collected and utilized to improve the implementation of the program, but even just engaging community partners and stakeholders in understanding that they need to support the program. That's one of the reasons as to why the committee decided to pick me as the best. And also the fact that I'm involved both here and in Kenya through the nonprofit that I started, that is 42 Changemakers. You know, they say they pick those who go above and beyond. So I was lucky to be selected, and I feel so honored for that. I want to say that my life here at Notre Dame, but also here in South Bend, I think I've continued to embrace, uh, one of my strengths, which is connecting with the community, diving into those challenging environments, and just understanding what is it that people like to do, how are they giving back, and how are different institutions working together. So that curiosity helped me to connect with the mayor's office, the South Bend Rotary Club, the Boys and Girls Club. You have Focus, which does a good job trying to connect students from Notre Dame with the community. And through that, I've been part of different leadership initiatives, the likes of Mishana Diversity Leadership Initiative. I'm part of the South Bend Mishawaka Leadership Initiative. I'm also part of the Immigrant Integration Initiative. I'm involved a lot in women empowerment initiatives, like there's an organization called See to Your Health Women Initiative that I helped to conduct a study on the impact of COVID-19 on women, and that led into a wonderful grant which resulted into supporting some of the women who are victims of violence during COVID-19, and that led into another grant which was to a tune of $20,000. And now the organization is running a business mentorship for women who are starting their own businesses here in South Bend. So I've continued to connect myself with this community, and I feel like in as much as I'm far away from home, this has turned out to be my home. I miss home, yes, but again, I feel so connected and deeply rooted in this space that I wish I had the best word to describe it, but I just feel that I belong. I feel accepted. I have the right people around me, very supportive. And that leads me to the last part of this sharing, because I want you to ask me questions. I think for any person who leaves, say, Africa and goes to any different part of the world, which is different from where we come from, I think there are a number of things we need to embrace. One is just being open and ready to immerse yourself in that unique space, interact with diverse cultures and connect with them, and then the other thing is education. Yes, it prepares us for our career and different things that we want to do in life, but I think it presents us with so many opportunities. You can get the knowledge, but there are these wonderful connections that you make. And I say this because it's through the connections that I've been able to run my youth organization in Kenya, which started way back in 2008 as an idea. And then we've been through ups and downs until 2017 when we first got our first grant. And now things are moving on well. And I'll talk more about it as I answer the questions that you sent to me. And then the other piece is whether you are away, we can't forget where we've come from. I think we are blessed to get this exposure outside. And I tell people that if you are exposed like that, you have a role to look back, give back, and share the blessings that have come your way. And that's what I try to do. I've been very keen, doing my own research, trying to compare the dynamics that we have at home and what I see here. We have a lot of best practices that we can borrow from here. I'm not saying that you copy and paste, but from what I see here, we can pick some few areas and try and apply in our own traditional spaces and bring the change that we desire. I think the other piece is just to continue being resilient. There are dynamics that come with living abroad, ranging from, culture shock, you have immigration issues, visa becomes a challenge, and you're like, where do I run? What do I do? But I think if you have the right network, if you source for information, if you are bold enough, resilient, then there's nothing that can stop you from succeeding. So yeah, those are some of the tips that I can share with the team that is here. But even for those of us who've completed education and are in different corners of the world, we can continue, impacting our community at home and wherever you are. So thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you so much, Shaban. That was so profound. Thank you for sharing your story, and congratulations on, your accolades, your achievements. Truly, it inspires. It shows that you can actually travel abroad and still be impactful in what you're doing. So I will start with the question Tony asked. So he was asking for an advice for anyone who is looking to start a non-profit organization which works across different countries. Now that you being in the US, you have your non-profit in the US, and then you're also running another one back in Kenya. So how can one do that? And then we can also open up the floor for questions. Anyone who has a question, feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, and go ahead. Maybe you can start answering that one as we wait for other questions.
Okay, I think this is what I can say. The journey around non-profit work, I have to say that I began this process way back in 2007, immediately after the post-election violence. And yes, I was involved on campus, but I also went back to my village and asked my peers that, are we just going to watch the country burn, or do we start something? So the reason I say that is because this initiative did not just start the other day. One, you need a good foundation. You need that group of people that understand your vision and what you want to achieve. And this should be people from the community that you want to serve. So to answer this, I have to say, one, you need the right team, but also a better understanding of the community that you want to serve. And then the fact that I had that and worked with the Rural Men Peace Link, which mentored me on the dynamics of nonprofit management, I think contributed a lot to this success. And here in the US, what I decided to do was to meet some of the connections that I've made and told them, hey, this is the vision that I have. I've walked this journey up to this far, but I feel like I can't do it alone. And one of the strong supporters include the Kroc Institute. When I was there as a student, I decided to move close to, the administration and tell them this is part of the work that I do in Kenya. And I remember one of the classes, I coined my research to focus on an organization where one of the staff works as a board member. And during that research, I presented wonderful recommendations that helped them to plan for their succession. As a result, she invited me on their board, and I'm currently one of their board members. But again, I became a grantee in the process. So the connections we make wherever we are lead to so much. And now there are new development ranging from Rotary Club that is planning to do something with me around, library development in Kenya. We have some books that we are actually putting together, and they'll be sent home sometime soon. Everything is still at those early stages. But I've also identified a friend within the club who has established himself as a fiscal sponsor for the nonprofit until I get a 501c3, status. So to answer this question properly, I have to say that you can succeed by having the right people behind your mission and just using the networks that you have to support the initiative that you run. And then the other piece, I think, is sacrificing yourself. There are many times I wake up here at 2 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m., trying to plan with the team on the ground and making sure that they do everything as per the expectations that, I set. And then I write a lot of grant proposals and just try different opportunities that present themselves out there. I've been lucky to win several grants from World Bank. There's the first one I got in 2020, and there's another one that I got in 2021 to start an AgriSmart initiative at home, which was a big success. We were even featured on Citizen TV Kenya, and that has resulted into a partnership with the schools in Kakamega. We've done documentaries trying to tell the story of those rural schools, and a lot of things have come with that. Example is there are classes being repaired today by the community as a result of that documentary. We have a water project that is coming up soon. We just found a partner who's putting together a water supply project that will benefit over 13,000 people around the region that we serve. And it's to the tune of around $120,000, and everything is laid down. I can't wait to see that happen. And many other initiatives that are coming up. And our plan is to use the same documentary to reach out to other schools, engage the county government and Masinde Muliro University, and of course, just get young people excited about being civic leaders in their community. So again, I wish I had one straight answer, but I just have to say that one, you need a better understanding of your community, the right people, and use the networks that you have. You should be ready to sacrifice. Just like any other business, it will cost you a lot. You have to sacrifice your time. There are moments you'll have to go in your pocket to get some things moving. You'll be frustrated. Your team may decide to leave you, but if you have that vision and passion, I think it's possible.
Thank you so much. That was profound. So we have only 6 minutes remaining. I'm going to ask a question just to follow up what you said, and then I'll open the floor. Okay, I can see James is okay, Rosette. they will ask or give comments. Okay, so like when you're abroad, many people, there's this misconception that mostly when you're looking for funding, or they discriminate based on race. So if you're a black person looking for funding, you would have a white person on your team, to increase the chances of you getting the funding. So maybe you can just comment on that, but let me just open the floor so that Rosette and James can ask their questions.
Okay.
This is James. Shaban, thank you so much for sharing. This is very insightful as well as educative. My quick question would be, from your experience, what would you define as effective collaboration, and how can we help? What is your biggest need in your organization that you feel we can contribute towards?
Can I get the other question and then I'll respond to all the three?
Yeah, sure. Rosette, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of it, but mine is a comment. In addition to what the speaker has generously shared, I wanted to share the problem I have had with corruption. I had people that I thought I knew. They were part of what I thought was a fellowship, and truthful and honest and dynamic and everything. And I thought they really believed and cared for what we were doing. And they have swindled and stolen money from, the poorest. I had, money for COVID and they stole a lot of it. I have had programs. I concentrate on helping dropout girls, teen mothers, and I have constructed a center that takes in 100 of them with their babies. We train them and equip them with a trade, and we look after the children. So we have a school that looks after the children as the mothers are studying. It's quite extensive, and but the main problem I've had is corruption. They have stolen so much. So I've unfortunately ended up being in court to try and get back some of the money. They bought themselves big cars. Where I had to buy land, they would take the equivalent of 200, 300 million just on one deal. So I wanted to ask if you've had an experience with this and how you have managed. The way I have managed is suing them and trying to get the money back and getting the community around me, because the community rallied around me and they have reported them. But the last time I was home, I found out that these girls were trying actually to have me murdered. They had paid a hitman, and they went to my garage also, and they had asked my mechanic to loosen my brakes, do something with my car so that as I drive, I could die in what was supposed to be an accident, or they could physically come to kill me. So how have you dealt with that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me start with the first question around funding. I want to say that I don't agree with the idea that you need a white person behind you to get the funding. If your program is successful and impactful, if you have a track record, trust me, people will support initiative that they see results. So what I encourage people is make sure you document, embrace evaluation all the time. For example, with my team, we try as much as possible to do pre and post surveys. We conduct summative evaluation at the end of the program and invite the community, including those who gave us support at different level, to witness the success of the support they provided. And through that track record, it's easy to attract other supporters because people go out there and tell your story. And one way we've done that is through engaging the media, and this includes both, TV, radio, and we try and use social media. If you've been following me on LinkedIn, I'm very active, sharing every single step and the small successes that we record. Of course, when you're out here, you'll meet friends and you'll share your story and they'll be excited. And some of them will be both Black, whether they are from Asia or white, name it. But I don't want to, agree with the fact that you need so and so, and in particular white people, to get the resources that you're looking for to do your initiative. So if you have an opportunity, just do your best. And so for effective collaboration, I think you need to clarify your mission, map your stakeholders very well, understand their strengths and weaknesses. And these stakeholders should come from all the sectors, including the government, business, non-profit sector, and institutions of higher learning. I say institution of higher learning because that's where the research happens. So business, institution of higher learning, and non-profit sector, all those stakeholders should come together. And then the last part is continuous evaluation, meeting and just understanding where our success, and then how do we overcome the challenges we're meeting, and then lastly, sharing the resources that you have. And then the last part on corruption, I've not experienced that, but I feel for us to avoid that is explaining to stakeholders the value of each and every coin or shilling or dollar that comes into the community. If you explain that clearly, how it's going to transform lives and just development in the community, then it may help. I'm not saying that it is an immediate solution, but I think starting by explaining to people why we need to manage resources properly and avoid corruption-related cases is important. Then for the case of safety, I think bringing the community on board right from the planning stage, implementation stage, and then evaluation stage is important, because the more transparent you are, the easier it is for you to avoid chaos eventually. And we've done this in Kenya, where we went in the community, met the local leaders, invited our network leaders, including representatives from the community, and defined exactly what we wanted to do, check if it was in line with what they thought were the priorities that they wanted to respond to, and then involve them in implementation and evaluation process. And during that, we communicated clearly where the resources came from, how they were used, and future plans. So transparency is so important. And then even just building the capacity of the locals, like the team that you work with, they should understand the connection between the program, the resources, and the results that are expected at the end. And have to be transparent in everything that we do, and continue building the capacity of the community that we work with, and try as much as possible to explain the connection between the small initiative that we are trying to implement in our communities with the broader development plans that our leaders have, whether it is your governor or your member of parliament or your chief. Just tell them the connection. And that I've seen that work very well in the places I've been.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering that question. I can see we have Father Eliona. Maybe if you have any comment or you just want to say hi.
Hi, Shaban, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you, bwana?
Salama, habari ya siku.
Salama ndugu yangu, jambo.
Sijambo. I'm sorry I didn't manage to get in the first. I had an emergency meeting here, and it happened when you were just about to start. but I suppose I'm not just part of your story, but I know a big part of your story. And this summer we were together, and I listened also to, the lengthy part of the story. I want you to know that you make us very proud. I'm very proud of you, and especially what you do. I met you when we had dinner with another stakeholder of what you do, and I was able to listen to part of the conversation of what you guys do at South Bend and the development of that city and the school system. How I knew you from the time you were at Notre Dame, and now what you're doing. I think this is a really success story. I just want you to know that I'm really, really proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. For now, I'll just stop there and continue to listen to the conversation, because I'm not so sure at what level you were talking about.
We finished long time ago, ndugu. Next time ukuje mapema.
I will try. I was there. I was just ready to sign in, and then I was called for an emergency meeting. There was it's more or less what you have just been talking about here at the end, because as Holy Cross in Kenya, we are trying to do some investment, and monies have to come from the trust in the United States, and so different levels they have to go through different levels of approval and checking facts and all that. So I think what you have been saying here is very important.
Oh, thank you so much. I know my success is attributed to people like you. I met you, you connected me to the Notre Dame community. We had that wonderful trip around the US, and for me, it was not just a trip. We made friends. You exposed me to different parts of this country, and all the time I documented somewhere the new things I came across, and I had a wonderful reflection when I came back to my room. So that's how we became. So thank you. And tungali pamoja.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Because I know, Shaban, it's morning on your side. You probably have a lot of.
Yeah, thank you so much for hosting me. I hope what I shared will be, of benefit to those who listen to it, and many others who will listen to what I shared. And I'm still here. You can reach out anytime if you have any other question, and I look forward to collaborating in whichever way. Thank you so much.
All right. Please remember to share your email on the WhatsApp group, because I think Muthen needs to link up with you.
Okay, thank you.
So have a good day, everybody.
Asanteni.
Okay, bye.